Hello, everybody, and welcome to the Three in the Box podcast, powered by Power Soccer Shop. You're listening to the musical stylings of the greatest band in the world, Carly Cosgrove. I'm Bill, he's Josh, he's Alex, and this is Three in the Box. Hello, everybody. Welcome to episode 4 of the Three in the Box Power Soccer podcast, powered by Power Soccer Shop. As always, I'm Bill Schultz, here with my two co-hosts, Josh Berger and Alex Johnson. Guys, how are we doing this fine February evening?
I'm doing well. I'm doing very well. My brother just got married earlier this month, so I feel great. My family's happy, and I'm ready to focus on soccer again.
Yeah, I'm doing good. It's a lot warmer down in Florida this time, so can't complain.
Yeah, last time you had a hailstorm. Last time we tried to do this.
True.
Yeah.
I can't hear the
that's right. That's
hail
right,
hanging off your roof this time.
Right. I'm sure everybody enjoyed that. So.
Oh yeah, everybody did, especially when they're driving on the road and on a 70-degree day and hearing hail on the radio.
Right. Looking around like,
where's the hail?
I did get a comment. I told you guys, but someone commented to me that it sounded like it was hailing at Alex's, and then my lights on my camera kept adjusting, kept getting dark and light. So it was both audio and visual strobe lights happening during the beginning of our last episode. So if you have any complaints, you can send them to Josh Berger in Chico, California.
Whoa!
He's the editor of this podcast. And
that's fair. That's fair.
Just kidding. So anyway, guys, lots going on in the power soccer world. This past weekend, we had a lot of power soccer action. Before we get to the action, though, I want to talk to our audience just for a moment. We were lucky enough to have a lot of help. We're recording this 2 days before you're all going to see it, which is a pretty tight turnaround for us, because this past weekend there were 3 tournaments or 3 competitions, one in Minnesota, one in Bedford, Texas, and one in St. Louis, Missouri. All of those folks at those tournaments sent score sheets to us. So you might see us reaching out to you guys that are hosting tournaments and are leading those tournaments. And we might ask you for some score sheets. And just so you know that might be coming, if you can get those to us right after the tournament, it helps us be able to then turn around and do these episodes really quick. So we're going to be talking about these results on the air 4 days after the tournaments happen, which I think is really cool, guys. I think it's a neat thing to be able to do in our sport.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yep, I agree. I can't wait.
Awesome. So without further ado, 3 competitions this past weekend, you guys. The first one was a duel, not a tournament, but a double header in Minnesota, in Fridley, to be exact, a place I've played and coached a lot of power soccer games. Minnesota Lights of the Premier Conference took on Minnesota United of the President's Conference, a team that Josh and I are pretty hot on this year. And they had that wasn't really a call out. But
From episode 2 or episode 3.
It's okay.
Well, it was the results were interesting. So in the first game, they drew. Lights and Minnesota United drew 1-1.
Okay.
And in the second game, Lights went up ahead and won that one 1-0. So typical scores for a Northern Lights team that likes to play in the tight margins. But in both games, Jason Bietsky had the lone goal for Lights and was assisted by Grant Larson. And then United's only goal of the day was Joe Borbrum. So close matches there between a Premier and President's team.
Yeah, I mean, that's shout out to Minnesota United for hanging in there. I mean, that's Northern Lights. They're good. Like Bill said, highly defensive team. So the fact that you scored a goal, well done.
Yeah, I think.
And they did it without TJ, who was sick this weekend. TJ,
okay,
shout out to TJ. We hope you're feeling better, TJ.
Sure.
So they were missing a piece too.
And was Lights at full strength?
Well, they didn't have Lene.
That's what I was told. Yeah.
As I understand it, Lene's. Sorry, Lene, if I'm wrong about this. I think Lene's at school, kind of far away right now. If I have that right. And so we'll see. Luckily, they'll have Lene back for nationals. But as I understand it, they're not like Linnea's not traveling with the lights right now.
Oh, okay.
Either way, to me, it's very impressive for Minnesota United, and you know, I mean, if I'm on that end of the score sheet, I'm going up against a top team in the nation, and that's got to be a huge confidence booster for my team, right? I mean, couldn't that go a long way in the rest of your season? I mean, that's what my initial thoughts were. Is like, this is something that you can ride for a while and take that momentum going forward for the rest of the season. So I'll be interested to see, is this a pivotal moment for Minnesota United? On the flip side, I mean, Northern Lights gets the job done. They're expected to, be the victor in this kind of matchup, but I bet you this is probably, if they're moving pieces around, sometimes it's good when you're moving people around to see exactly where they can go, what they can do. So I'm sure that's something that they can build off of as well. So,
yeah. I mean, Minnesota United, whatever you guys are doing over there, keep doing it, because it's obviously working. Literally keep writing it for another 4 months.
Right.
I cannot wait to see what you guys do.
And if I accidentally lit your fire, I guess I'm not going to apologize, because it looks like you got some good results there. So
yeah, so you can thank Alex for your result if you guys kill it this year.
Yeah.
And I'm really excited, and I'm going to give them an even further plug because they sent me this. Minnesota United's hosting a tournament this coming weekend in Minneapolis. I'm excited because I'm going. It's the first live matches I get to see this season, so I'm jacked about that. But so next weekend, Shockwave and Northern Lights will be there. Obviously, Minnesota United, and then Hooligans, our buddy Grant, who didn't know his schedule a couple of weeks ago, is going to a tournament. Hopefully he knows. Hopefully, Grant, if you're watching this and don't know, Grant, you play this weekend.
And if you have any complaints, Grant, you can go ahead and email your friend Bill here. Anytime.
You know where to find me. Shipley. You know where to find me.
He's going to be back in a couple months.
He will be.
He doesn't watch
I can't wait for that.
He's not paying attention.
I can't wait for that.
His mom and dad will tell him that we are talking about him. That's how he'll find out. Anyway, moving on.
Oh, man, that's hilarious.
Moving on. Bedford, Texas, North Texas Fully Charged hosts a tournament this weekend. Just to kind of shout them out, there were 4 rec teams at this tournament. Guys, I don't have those results, so I apologize. We're not covering the rec results today. But Straps brought a rec team. Houston, Dallas, and Tulsa all had rec teams that were at this Bedford tournament. And then the 3 teams we're going to talk about that were there, Strap Scorpions were there. They went 3-0. Houston Fireballs were there. They went 2-2. And North Texas Fully Charged was 0-3 in this tournament. It came down to a match that I think Alex actually probably knows more about than I do, the overtime match between Straps and Fireballs.
Yeah, I read it online, probably like a lot of us did, where they said looks like it went to double overtime, and the Straps was able to tuck away a goal to win the championship. And I know these 2 teams have a long history, and they go back and forth and back and forth. So I'm sure it was another great game. I'm sure there's a lot of good experience that you get out of games like that. That's one of the toughest things to duplicate in practice, is the pressure of those situations. So I think, that can carry both teams a long way, whether win or lose. I mean, it's great game experience. So
for sure. So that one ended up Straps beating Houston 2-1. Our pal Jada Cano scored the winner, her buddy Jacob Nerendorf. Jada was the second leading scorer for the weekend in Houston. She had 3 goals, 3 assists. Houston had the goal leader, and I apologize if I'm going to mispronounce your name. Is it Rado or Rado?
Yeah, I would think it's Rado. Yeah,
Rado from
7
Houston.
goals.
7 goals in 4 games at this tournament this weekend. So shout out to you, my friend.
Well done.
Modesto also had a goal and 5 assists for Houston. So
Wow.
Houston was scoring some goals this weekend.
Yeah. Really high scoring weekend for them.
For sure.
And I also love that there are also 4 recreational teams there. Like Bill said, we don't have the results on that, but it just shows that our sport is growing, and we want to embrace everybody that can be in a wheelchair to participate, whether it's non-conference, recreational, or competition. It's just good to see everybody on the court.
Absolutely. I mean, me personally, I didn't know there was a team in Tulsa, so that's
neither
did
I.
Yeah, that's awesome.
So awesome. reach out to us and let us know what you're about.
Yeah.
And just a little plug as well. Like when you guys are at tournaments, send us content. Shout out to a couple people that did send us content since the last episode. Beck sent us some content, which we used on the Instagram, and Michael Sack from Northern Lights sent us some content from the games this past weekend. So shout out to you guys. And if you guys send us stuff to our social medias, which will pop up on the screen so you can see them, we will use it potentially in an episode, probably on our social media for sure. So we appreciate that. Keep it coming.
For sure. Keep them coming.
All right, guys. So third competition this weekend was the biggest competition this weekend.
Huge.
The Jerry Frick Legacy Challenge, which is an awesome tournament St. Louis hosts every year. They had, oh man, I hope I have this right. They had 6 teams. RHI Sudden Impact, a premier team. Chicago Fire Championship. DASA Cyclones Championship, and then the Henry County Hotshots from the President's Conference. DASA Firecrackers were also there, as well as the DASA Flames played games in this tournament. As you might expect, Sudden Impact came away 4-0 on the weekend. Chicago Fire was 3-1 record on the weekend, 3 wins, 1 loss. DASA Cyclones were 2-4. And the Hot Shots were 0-4, but the Hot Shots had some close games in here.
They're playing up against some steep competition.
Yeah.
I mean, it's pretty hard competition to play against. So 0-4, but they were hanging in there.
Yeah, they were. Yeah. They really were.
Yeah, anytime you can go up against competition that are levels above you, always valuable game experience, and again, that can give you the momentum to carry over for the rest of the season. So
for sure. Bill, didn't somebody absolutely kill it this tournament? One particular person,
Yeah, I don't think we've talked about it before.
I don't think so either.
What's his name?
Unfamiliar to folks.
Michael Jordan?
Yeah, that's it. Yeah.
Got it. Okay. Got it.
Some guy named Michael Archer showed up, and in 4 games for RHI Sun Impact this weekend, scored 11 goals and 8 assists.
Oh my God.
Casual 11 and 8.
Jeez.
Yeah.
Michael, if you could pick it up a notch and catch up with the rest of us, that'd be great.
Slacking, man. He's
So Michael had 19 points in 4 games this weekend. Good to go, Michael Archer. And then, but Moises had 7 goals on the weekend.
Wow.
Natalie 5 goals, 5 assists. Jordan somehow with 9 points comes in fourth. Well, no, he comes in 4th with 9 points.
Yeah, I mean, it's a pretty star-studded lineup.
I do want to call out, and I apologize if I botch your last name, Archer, but Archer Sverdrup. Archer plays for Firecrackers. Archer, some of your team's stats were a little goofy when I got them. So this may actually not be all of his goals and assists, but Archer had 9 goals and assists. And that was on the stat sheets I have, which I think may not be complete. So Archer had a pretty good weekend as well.
Wow.
For Firecrackers.
Sounds like it was a good weekend for a lot of players.
Yeah. There were some cool some interesting scores here. DASA Cyclones lost 4-1 to Sudden Impact.
Wow.
DASA, a team that all three of us picked to finish 10th in the championship,
Yeah.
hung in there with Michael Archer and his 19 points.
Okay.
So
All right.
that's pretty cool.
Yeah.
The Hot Shots, I was saying, they had some good score lines. They were tied through a lot of a game with Chicago Fire this weekend.
Wow.
Talked to my old pal Tyler Engel, who plays for Fire, and he told me some horror stories about some wheelchairs dying and folks not being at their best during that game. But that's still really big Hot Shots, I think, to hang against a team that we all have picked to win the championship this year.
I think so. Yeah.
Yeah,
I think
1-1-1.
Yeah.
So I mean, some super close games here, some really exciting games here. So congratulations to St. Louis on another pretty awesome tournament.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Wow. I wish I was a fly on the wall watching those games.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That would have been a lot of fun. Yeah, I saw the highlight tape somebody posted of Archer just not skipping a beat. Michael Archer not skipping a beat, and I'm like, okay, all right, Michael, slow down, jeez.
I don't think he's gonna slow down. I think
he's not. But that's terrifying. I'm glad I don't have to play against him this year.
It's just gonna make the end of the season so much better.
Oh, I cannot wait.
That's what I'm thinking of. Like, man, when you start to get to these final matches of the season, just how are they going to stack up? It's going to be great.
Right.
There's a lot of teams chasing the Minnesota Shockwave this year.
Yeah, and it's like, will the RHI Sudden Impact will they gel together in time because Archer coming onto the team and
I don't know, Josh. So their top 4 players. Hang on, let me scroll here. I'm trying to use 2 screens, and it's I'm technologically challenged. So they brought 4 players to this tournament. At least there were 4 players on the score sheet. If I can do some really quick math here, 19.
Yeah.
They scored almost 50 points between the 4 of them.
Jeez.
That's it.
Archer had, and this is goals and assists. So Archer had 19, Moises had 7, 10, and Jordan had 9.
26, 31, 36, 40. Yeah, that's 40 points. Yeah.
40 points. Okay.
Yeah, 40 points.
I'm sorry I made a crack about California public schools earlier on this.
That's okay.
I was off the air.
For those of you that did not hear it before we started recording, he made fun of me about my math skills, and he came right back and bit him in the butt.
Time is not Josh's strong suit when it comes to math, but he rattled that off pretty quick. We have fun here.
We do. We don't love each other or anything.
Anyway, sudden impact, 40 points in 4 games.
That's incredible.
Okay. So
just getting warmed up.
Well, and what did you mention to us earlier today, Alex? That our friend Riley said they didn't have any rivals in that conference. Didn't he say that?
Oh, just like
let me just go back and play that clip for 1 second.
We have that.
I'm gonna play it right. I'm gonna play it right now. Okay, and yeah. What game are you circling on your calendar every year, and who's the Shockwave's biggest rival?
Well, it's hard to say because we haven't lost a game in 4 years, 5 years, or whatever it is. So I don't know if you can say there's any rivals, but
right.
Okay, so I think Riley could be eating his own words pretty soon.
We're gonna find out.
Wow, I feel man. At the same time, like saying that, like Riley's probably like, "Hey, man, I can hold my own." So, yeah, it's
the fire.
Like I said, a minute ago, there are going to be some great games come June. All conferences, but I mean, who's not excited to see how the premiere shakes out? So
yeah,
it'll be cool.
I'm just so excited to go back. I mean, I wasn't there last year, and I'm just like, I had the worst case of FOMO, and I'm just ready to be back. And we're only 4 months away, so I'm excited.
Yeah, how wild is that? Yeah,
it's wild.
Right around
4 months away.
Right around the corner.
We're almost there, folks.
Yeah.
So, since we're getting a little close to time, you guys, Alex, you were part of a tournament 2 weeks ago now. The Tidewater hosted. Do you want to talk a
Yeah.
little bit about
Let's
that?
see here. Yeah, it was
3
first and
weekends ago
second.
by the time this
Yeah,
came
first and
out.
second
Yeah,
of the
yeah.
month. Yeah, it was a great tournament. You know, us personally, Brooks, the day one we had 4 matches. We unfortunately had some chair issues with Devin and Justin, and that affected some stuff. And I will not. I'm just throwing that out there because that's what happened. I'm not making excuses for my team, but we ended up losing those games. I was very proud of all the teammates that stepped up and played as hard as they could. We righted the ship. We got that stuff fixed with the help of Tidewater over that evening into the next day. So shout out to
There you
them,
go.
to Mike and Matthew and Ed. So fixed that. Devin was having a joystick issue that we figured out, and then like it wasn't properly charging. And then Justin, we got him some new batteries. So then day two, we roll in there. We're in the play-in game because we had lost all the games. So we played Tidewater B team, and they were firing on all cylinders in that game.
Okay.
So
All right.
we put them away 6-0, no 7-0, and then moved on to the next game where we played the NEP Wildcats, who the day before they had beaten us pretty good, but our chairs were dying all over the place. Now we're at full strength. We go out there and we just played like a monster game, an epic game that I'll remember forever.
Nice.
It was us 1-0 in the first half. They scored in the second half. It ended up going straight to penalty kicks. And then we just had a marathon of penalty kicks. I think each side must have taken like at least 10 apiece.
Oh my goodness.
And at one point, so you know how you gotta roll up there, you gotta set it up, you gotta hit it. Everybody's watching. Then the next person comes around, does it again, like and over and over and over. So at one point, they thought they won, and then we're like, no, they still got to shoot. And then their guy missed wide left, so it keeps going. Then we come around.
Oh my gosh!
And we were up, and our goalie was Devin because he had the penny on.
Yeah.
And their guy shoots it. Devin blocks it, and the ref's like, no, he moved too early.
Oh gosh!
I was like, no way. I go back, I watch the tape. All right. He probably moved like 0.2 seconds too early, but you had to like slow the video down. So I mean, it was a boom reaction. All right, so we thought we had won. It's like, no. So then it goes on for another cycle, and they ended up winning a 1-1 match that went on forever.
Oh my gosh!
They moved on. The team of the weekend was CNY United. So
because you got them all fired up.
Yeah, right. Did you take a picture?
Yeah, because,
did you take a picture with Peyton about the whole?
I did take a picture with Peyton
like this.
with the 5.
With the 5.
But you
for
know,
people who didn't see it or who don't remember this, why to come in 5th in their conference? Well, we had Peyton on the podcast last time. So that's Alex catching a little heat for that.
Yep. I'm eating my
own.
Rightfully
so.
You know who gave me more crap about it was Dana. Dana gave me way more crap.
Yeah.
The first thing she said when she saw us, we saw her in Virginia Beach the night before tournament. She's like, 5? Really? That's the first thing she
said. Get him, Dana.
I love it. I love it.
So they went out and they handled business. So here's what I would say about this tournament. A lot of good teams, and a lot of good competition.
Yeah.
CNY won the whole thing, and they beat NEP twice along the way. But as good as CNY is, NEP has a lot of depth. Yeah. And they're only going to get better. So as we get to the end of the season, I don't want to say this in like any type of way, but I felt CNY was tough, but I felt like NEP was a little tougher matchup for us. And I know Peyton's going to come back.
He's like,
say,
write this down.
He's like,
Alex,
he
are
just
you
won't stop.
trying to piss him off? Are you trying to piss off CNY?
No, but they well deserved to them. I think experience won out. I think experience won out in this one. But I do think NEP has a very high ceiling. And I think those two are going to meet again. And when we re-rank, I have a better picture of what the Champions Conference looks like, because at this point, I think we've played about 6 Champions teams this year.
Yeah.
So, and then on the Brook side, I know that we can hold our own against champion level teams, which is good to know, to see how we size up. Just to recap, CNY, NEP in the semi, Tidewater and ASPO in the other semi. Tidewater beats ASPO. CNY beats NEP. NEP beats ASPO in the third place game. And CNY went on to beat Tidewater in the championship. So
got it. Okay.
Do we know the score line from that game, the CNY Tidewater game? I'm putting you on the spot, so it's fine.
2 or 3 to 1, maybe something like that, or nothing. I don't know. We weren't there because we hit the road because we had such a long drive.
Okay. That was before Peyton could hunt you down.
Right.
After.
Yeah.
Got it.
Got out of there. Yeah. But
get out. We gotta go.
Well, third place match was like 5-1 NEP. So they got a lot of guys that they can just bring in, bring out. So
that's awesome.
They have a lot of depth. So I was impressed. I was impressed with all of them. Shout out to CNY, Peyton and his crew. Keep doing your thing. You probably get a different ranking when we re-rank. So I apologize.
Well, that's good. He did what we said, which is like if we rank somewhere. And NEP, frankly, doing the same thing to us. Because like Josh and I had them lower in that conference.
Yeah,
well, not really. Alex had him 6th in champions. Josh, you and I had him 8th. And we got comments on the pod last month when it dropped, like, hey, you're like not ranking these NEP teams high enough. And like, to be fair, like they're bringing it since we said
they are.
That keep it up.
I'm very impressed. I'm impressed with all those teams. Yeah.
Well, come back in May, everybody, because we will have an updated power ranking leading up to nationals.
For sure. I just want to say, so Alex was at the Tidewater tournament. That's why we're hearing a little bit about it. The reason we didn't cover Tidewater, or we have not covered any of the tournament that happened in Arizona that weekend, is because we don't have score sheets. We don't have news. Again, if you guys are able to get us that stuff, we'll continue reaching out to you. We want to be able to cover all of this, but it's just not practical to do in a timely way unless we can connect. So if me or Josh or Alex is emailing you guys, hey, check your email. We're just trying to get you on the air. If we can
and we're gonna flash our where to send content to. So
yes,
more hand signals for Josh to know where to put it.
Right.
All right, cool. One thing I just really, because we're really close to time, but I do want to bring this up, and maybe this is a discussion for later. But you were talking about that penalty kick match, Alex. I'm gonna just like light a match and then walk away. But like, I think we as an organization need to have some conversations about how penalty kicks are taken in this league and how and when players are able to move. Because if you watch able-bodied soccer, what you're seeing is goalies doing anything they can, right? Jumping up, my man Dane St. Clair, jumping up and down, waving his arms, like back and forth. Like, I don't know, man. If he's behind the line, should we really disallow that? again, I'm just lighting a match and I'm going to end the episode and walk away. But I think there's a discussion to be had there. I know international does it one way, and I know we don't want to stray too far from that.
Right.
But I think it's worth a conversation is all I'm saying.
I'm curious to see what people have to say hearing that from Bill now. Put it in the comments.
Put it in the comments, I would love to hear people's opinion. We want more interaction. We definitely want more interaction. I want to hear your opinions on what you guys think about penalty kicks. And how people should be lined up. Should we be able to move? Should we not be able to move? As the rule states it right now, the goalie has to stay behind the line and cannot move until the ball is hit. So those are the current rules. And that's what we played by. And I'll shout out head ref David out of Atlanta who made that call as in the moment as every single person on that court was. It looks like he made the correct call, but
was that hard?
That's an impossible. What an impossible job, right? Like where you're just like you're trying to line it up and make.
When you said you had to like slow it down to even see it, right?
Yeah.
Like, so that's a pretty good call there to be able to like catch. You know, if he was off by just a half a second, I mean that's hard with the naked eye to see.
Yeah,
it is. So
I'm impressed.
Yeah, and then all those players that were going up against each other that rarely get to play against each other because you're getting teams from the South and from the North. So Virginia is a great venue for that where you can mix and match. So, yeah, shout out to Tidewater putting on a good show. Great venue. Yeah, it was a good time.
That's awesome.
Awesome. Well, with that, we're going to take you to the second segment of episode 4. Thanks for sticking with us. We are going to send you now to the conclusion of our interview with USPSA President Steve Everett, who we showed you a little sneak peek of last week. We have the rest of that interview for you right now, and we will be back next month with an all-new episode. Content we haven't even written yet. We're excited to find out what it is. So, and keep sending us your content, and please keep sending us your score sheets. Thanks for hanging out with us.
Yep.
Till next time.
We want to share our heartfelt condolences with the teammates, family, and friends of Austin Leclerc of the Boston Breakers and Corey Brooks, who is a founding member of the Strap Scorpions. Austin and Corey are the latest members of our power soccer family, taken from us too soon.
So, shifting gears just a little bit, Steve. Who's been the most impactful coach in your time in the game, either for you personally or across the league?
Yeah, look, there's multiple ones that stick out to me. Mike Hayes is one of the greatest coaches the sport's ever seen. His record, shows just that. Great X and O guy, disciplinarian, was hard on his athletes, but really cared. I mean, Tracy Mayer, just another one who is an incredible coach, and he's an innovator of the motion offense. I mean, anytime you have people that impact the sport like that as well, those people have a great place in our sport. I mean, I know I'm going with the successful ones, like you could also throw in Tom Dickey in there with the RHI teams. They've also had a lot of success in developing athletes. But the one person I think that stands out the most is Chris Finn. Josh, I know you got the opportunity to play with him and play for him. I mean, and legend, no doubt. I mean, they all are. All those guys I mentioned. This guy on the world stage, national stage and world stage, but really on the world stage, he won 2 World Cups for us. He thought the game in a way that really was more than just the X and O's. It wasn't always about that. It was being a good thinker out there, how to handle pressure situations. He got into the mental side of things that are incredibly important. You know, the other coaches will all agree too that, you know, there's a difference when you know how to play the game from a chair. I mean, it's an advantage to have an understanding of those things. And, you know, truly that's another reason why I feel like for me, it's been a blessing to be on the U.S. national team coaching staff, because I got relatability with the athletes. Okay. And I think that's the part that's really a really important part. But I would say that those guys that I just mentioned, and, you know, they're the elite. I got a chance to play for, in a training camp. It was actually called selection camp back then. I was one of the athletes selected to try out for the national team. And so I got, you know, definitely a great experience playing for Mike Hayes. And he pushed me to be a better athlete. And constantly have great conversations with Tracy, now being a co-coach. Prior to that, you know, I'm a question guy. I'll ask a lot to try to get answers. And I had numerous of conversations with Chris Finn on various aspects of the sport, and what he felt was the best things that I could teach fellow players and athletes as I became a coach. So, yeah.
I got a lot of love for Chris Finn, because I didn't really know him. We went to the same school. He's a University of Wisconsin lacrosse guy, just like me.
Okay.
And my very first nationals coaching, I got to coach against him and got to talk with him a little bit. And I'm so proud of that, and I'm so glad I got to meet him and just for a minute talk power soccer with him, because he's definitely somebody that I remember and look up to as a coach and think about. And it meant a lot to me my first year to be able to see myself reflected on the sidelines, right? Another person with a disability who was doing what I was doing.
Yep. You think about this. I mean, let's look at just able-bodied sports, right? You know, a lot of the soccer coaches that are out there, you know, the professional coaches, they all played. The majority of them played. They were part of it. So, you know, to me, it's an important part. It's definitely an important part. So, yeah, I enjoy that aspect of it.
That's great. Okay, so in what ways have you seen power soccer evolve in the time you've been around the game?
You know, the technology, Strike Force really changed our world, right? And it's continued use of how the game is evolving, right? I think the technology, as far as like the equipment, like I use this when I was playing tennis. I went with you know, air tires, you know, and
me too.
I wanted to get a better grip on the court when I was playing tennis, and different surfaces allowed me to get traction, and others allowed me to slide. So I would change that. Look at now, whoever decided to go do that and really kind of push that envelope, that's great too. I know Power Soccer Shop's got some great tires as well, right? And you know, we've seen those. I mean, it's those kinds of things that we're trying to figure out. Like there's still little things. I mean, you know, there's a lot of talk about, you know, the settings and the compensation, and those kinds of things are all changing the game. Is it for the better? We shall see. Is there pluses and minuses to that? Sure. And it's constantly allowing, like I see people do things in their chairs that I've never seen happen before.
Right.
And the evolution of our sport is changing. When we first started, it was a grab and drag sport. You grab the ball, you fought with somebody, and you drug them to the corner, and you hopefully knocked it loose, or you drove it in, and maybe you might get a pass off and someone to get one kick, and then it would be over. Or however that is, that would transpire. It's not that way anymore. They'll still see glimpses of that kind of play at some of the lower levels, but even that is changing, and people are passing. People are moving the ball. I mean, England comes out and starts a 4-out concept, right? We got motion offense by Shockwave. Every year, it's something different, and it's constantly changing, and I love it. I think that's what's great about it. I can't wait to see what the future is going to be.
Yeah, it's just like what Riley said in our last episode. I mean, he said that when he first started 20 odd years ago, it was a push game, no passing, no 2-on-1s. It's changed so much for the better.
Yeah, Riley doesn't know much though. It's
Shots fired.
Oh!
Shots fired.
I love that dude.
Love it. Love that.
That's great.
Steve, we're jumping all over the board here, asking you about time as a player, time as a coach. I'm going to ask you a little bit more about your role as USPSA president. When you took that role, what were some of the goals you had, and what do you hope your legacy is going to be when you decide to not be the president anymore?
So one of the primary goals was to have us have some dialogue with U.S. Soccer, to become part of what I always felt like our national team should be under the umbrella of U.S. Soccer. And you start hearing of other federations starting to go down that way. And I would say that was one of my main goals. Those conversations, those meetings that I was in, those committees that I, to be honest, really didn't care to be a part of, but I was anyways, because one of the things I wanted for U.S. Soccer to know was that we were invested, we were here, we weren't going anywhere, and we want to be a part of this. We want to be U.S. Soccer from the national team perspective. And it was a process, and it was great. It was a great experience, and we learned a lot. And when we eventually became part of the national team program, it was a mission accomplished, and we're still got great things that are coming out of that. Look, not a lot of times, parents, players, families, we thought we were all professional fundraisers, because in order, and we probably a lot still do. Look, I mean, Alex is grinning right now, but I mean, we're raising teams if we don't have somebody that supports our groups and that kind of stuff. Well, on the national stage, or the international stage, representing your country, all those trips, all those competitions was out of pocket or was fundraised. We got some help, a little bit here, a little bit there. I mean, MK Battery's always been by our side. It's been great. Our partnership with them has been, I can't say anymore. Those guys, I mean, Jeff and Wayne, those guys are great. And they believe in us, and they want to be a part of it. Power Soccer Shop, with all their help and the things that they did for the national team with the equipment and stuff. So, I mean, outside of those groups, everything else was fundraised. So to take that financial burden off the table from those athletes. Now an athlete can just be an athlete, because at that point it's a pay-to-play situation, isn't it? Really, if we realistically say it, we might have great athletes. I don't got that much money to be going to Sydney, Australia. Are you kidding me? I mean, and so that was an incredible opportunity for us. Now the athletes can train, and U.S. Soccer is not messing around. They're not here. This is not a feel-good thing for them. This is not a check the box thing. This isn't. They want World Cup titles. They want us to bring home the hardware. They want us to be the best in the world, and they're pushing for that. And so that right there was a prime goal of mine. And you know, the other thing was, I would say, wanting to get our sport to advance from a level of, I would say, competitiveness, but seriousness in that competitiveness. I think that, you know, it's very easy, like we've spoken before, that it's easy for this to be a feel-good moment. But, you know, look, we appreciate you guys wanting to look at our sport and come check it out, but please leave the sympathy in the parking lot, right? Come in and watch some athletes battle. And, you know, you will slowly, you will watch the game. At first you'll be wowed with the chairs and everybody spinning and all that stuff. But pretty soon that chair will start to fade away, and you start noticing the athlete. You start noticing their leadership, their verbal skills, their movement, their all the different things. And they're, you know, that's when the beauty happens.
That's so true. I mean, like the show does this. Even as an athlete, I'm sure you could speak the same thing. It's like, I forget that the chair is part of the game when I'm playing. Like, I just see the person. And
you're an athlete.
Do a job. Yeah.
Yeah. Do you play soccer, Josh? Are you on a team?
I think I am. I'm not sure. I've been playing for 9 years. I don't know. Who knows?
I've never heard of it.
But no, it's so true. I mean, like, the chair does disappear. It's just, you're just an athlete, and that's, it's an amazing thing about the sport, or any sport, in any adaptive sport.
Yep.
All right, Steve. So, what advices do you have for power soccer coaches?
Great question.
Well, I think you know, it's really important. Like, communication's always got to be key. And I think power soccer coaches always remember, and I think this is just coaching in general, so I won't even talk about power soccer per se. I think coaching in general is what you have to come up with a way that to figure out what motivates each individual athlete, because not every way, and in what way they learn. Not everybody learns the same way. So putting that all together and figuring those things out. I mean, some people are auditory learners, some are visual learners, some are kinesthetic learners, you know. So knowing those things and how you communicate and figure those things out, I think ultimately is a big part of what a good coach does. And then communication in a way that, I mean, I love coaches that are, you know, they push their athletes, but they also got to be compassionate. They also got to be that person that puts their arm around somebody and says, hey, don't worry, we're going to wake up tomorrow and it's going to be a different game tomorrow. You know, those kinds of things. I think that there are different levels of competition, and really figuring out what level. It might be on a team that's playing at a high level, but that athlete is really not on that level. So you got to realize, you got to figure out ways of keeping them in the mix. Maybe it's a specialty play that you call, and they're the only one that it's their play. This is the one we're going to score for you. This is the one we're going to do. Get creative in that aspect. I think there's also a tendency to be hypersensitive to athletes with disabilities. And you're doing athletes an injustice if you're treating them anything different than an athlete. Like, we all know there are certain things that athletes physically cannot do because of their limitations or because of certain aspects. That's different. But the minute you treat me as an athlete and not a disabled athlete, that's when my respect for you goes through the roof. But yeah, so I would say those are really, really crucial to like that aspect of the game. Don't be afraid to think outside the box. Do not be afraid to think outside the box. Just because people don't do it now, do not mean that people won't do it later. Teams won't do it later. So try it. You might, what I've learned is I've stumbled on things trying to look in one direction, and all of a sudden something else pops up and I go, oh, wow, I got to write that one down. That might work. And then all of a sudden it changes. So, yeah. So, yep.
Yeah.
Love all of
There's
that.
a lot more I could go. Yeah,
Awesome
there's a lot more I
answer.
could go. But
Love all of that.
Okay, so what advice would you have for a player after entering the first year of power soccer, the 5th year, the 10th year in the game?
well, at first, I mean, everything's got, you got to have fun, right? Every level you play, you got to enjoy it. But there's different levels as you move up and the more you serious you get. But, you know, in your first year, you're just really learning the nuances of the game, right? I think as we get into like our 5th year, you should be starting to learn, you know, the nuances of the game, the X's and O's of the game, and really kind of trying to experiment with certain techniques and different things like that. Fundamentals got to be something solid from your first year playing all the way to till now. I still do fundamental drills. It's got to be part of your DNA when you're playing this sport, right? It's got to be something you do over and over and over again. And to motivate the athletes that are elite to do something that's basic, you remind them. You have to remind them that this is what gets you to that next level, where it becomes second nature. The other thing is, don't do it with your eyes rolling. Don't do it halfway. Like, do it like it's the last time you'll ever do it. Every single time, repetitive. You get to the highest level, it's more about taking the skill sets and the techniques, driving backwards, learning how to catch the ball on your hip, learning how to move the ball, passing from various angles, working together as a unit in the box, you know, communication, all that stuff, plus the mental side of game. How do you handle the stressful situations? How do you breathe? Breathing's huge in this game, you know? I'm sure, Alex, with your military background, I mean, all the training that you probably went through, right? And I mean, it's all about discipline. And it's all about those kinds of things. And so I'm a big reader. I love reading. So I'm always trying to read things that actually get me to think about stuff that I can implement on the court as well as in my everyday life. So, yeah, I think those are important. Those are very, very important skill sets as you get towards the end of that. And then just you have to be willing to share those things with others. It's not a secret. You don't hold it tight. You share it. People go, well, why would I want to share it? If I figure something out, I don't want to share it because it's mine and I'm going to use it against Josh and Alex when he plays and Bill when they play against us. I'm going to use it. Okay. It'll work once, right? But I'll look at videotape and now I'll go, okay, that won't happen again. We'll do this, this, and this. So here's the thing. I heard Kurt Warner, the famous quarterback, legend quarterback, one of my favorite of all times. Just his story, I love his personality, all that. And a young Eli Manning was drafted by the Giants, and Kurt was their quarterback. And I'll paraphrase the story because I don't know actual details word for word. But the Giants let him know, look, he's the future. But you're right now. And we need you to teach him, all the things that the nuances and all that stuff. Well, in today's world, when you talk to quarterbacks, that's usually not something they're willing to do with the rookie quarterback. Look at the NFL today, right? And so later, fast forward, Kurt Warner was asked, like, you were so into giving him like all your knowledge. You studied with him. You got him dialed in. You did all that stuff. And by the end of that season, they started putting him in and playing more. And I think he started by the end. But why did you do that? Like, how? And Kurt Warner said, I want to give him everything that I know. I want to give it all to him. And he says, and then I still want to beat him out as the quarterback for the team. So I think that's just a good story just to kind of reiterate, like, if we're going to grow the sport, we got to open our mouth. We got to share. We got to, all those questions, they need to happen. And those conversations need to happen. And because your secret will only be your secret until the next video film and people will figure it out. Right. So, yeah, for sure.
Yeah. Awesome.
Mm-hmm.
So I know we covered it a little bit earlier, but joining forces with U.S. Soccer was a huge step forward for our sport. Can you explain why that's so important for all of us?
Well, I think one of the most incredible part is that we have a federation, our U.S. Soccer Federation, not a disabled organization. We are part of that. We are that. That's what we are. As a matter of fact, there have been many discussions where I've had conversations and I referred to part of or partnered up with, and they correct me real quick. No, you're U.S. Soccer. Your national team, you're U.S. Soccer. I'm employed by U.S. Soccer as a coach.
That's so cool.
Yeah. So I think, number one, that's an incredible opportunity for the future of our sport. Those that have aspirations of, being selected to come to a tryout or be part of a selection camp, or actually we don't have selection camp no more. We have ID camps where we identify potential national team players. And all the finances that go with that are all taken care of under U.S. Soccer. That's that. So for me, that's incredibly important. And athletes can just be athletes. They can train like athletes. We do things no different their guidelines that we have are no different than the guidelines for any of their other national teams, including the men's and the women. And, they got beach soccer, they got futsal, the CP soccer men team, and women's team, deaf men and women. I mean, amputee. I mean, we got programs that are just, we're not being treated any different. And so we love that. Now, there are tweaks because we do have unique situations, and that's important. Most of our athletes, if not all our athletes, need to travel with a caregiver. That's all stuff that's taken care of. So we alleviate that so the athlete can be the athlete. So I think that's incredibly important as we move forward for the future.
That's awesome. That's awesome.
Yeah.
Thank you for explaining that.
Yep.
Steve, I don't know how much you can divulge in this information, but how is the current national squad looking, and what are you excited for with this group?
Oh, look, we got great athletes. I mean, look, there's some household names and there's some newer players that have been coming in, and we're seeing how they, being a national team coaching staff, our job is to put the strongest group of players as a unit. It's not always the best player. Mm-hmm. It's the best that work together as a unit, right? Mm-hmm. And so it's like putting a puzzle together. And seeing where the pieces fit. And then you throw in classification, which is another thing that you have to kind of follow. Class twos are different than class ones, and you're only allowed a total of 6 points on the court. So that means 2 1s and 2 2s. And so that is another part of the game that we look at. And so, yes, I'm really, really excited. The coaching staff has been working really hard. We have a new coach, Peter McGahee, who's a new assistant coach. Peter is, an educator of soccer with U.S. Soccer and their coaching education group, and he is. Shared some nuances with me and Tracy, and it's been great. It really has been great to use to bounce. Like, he's new to power soccer, but he's picked it up really fast, and which really makes it exciting because soccer's soccer. And like Zach Dickey, he says, we just do it with 4 wheels on our butt, that's really what it is. But the sport is a sport. Like, think about the sport the way it used to be played. We talked about grabbing and dragging or pushing up and down the court. If somebody would have told us way back then, hey, one day you're going to kick the ball backwards to your goalkeeper, and that goalkeeper is now going to pass it to the other side of the court, and you're going to be more in an attacking mode, we would have said, I ain't passing it to my goalkeeper. There ain't no way. And it's part of the game now. So what does soccer do? They go backwards to go forward. We now go backwards to go forward. We are passing and staying wide. It used to be just the perfect triangle. Now it's diamonds. Now it's squares. Now, it's rectangles. I mean, there's different shapes depending on how you attack. And we're learning the terminology that, we call things specific things as a coaching staff for, power soccer. When I'll mention something, I'll get that look from Peter sometimes, like, what's that? And then I explain to him, he go, oh, okay, now I understand. Oh, that's such and such in the regular language of soccer. Oh, okay. So now we're learning those things. We're adopting those things. it's becoming a language and learning, and it's just growing like crazy. And I love every aspect of it.
Very cool.
That's incredible.
Steve, what's your favorite part about being involved with the national team? Like how is and I guess also like how is it different than maybe what you expected when you started coaching them?
I think anytime that you come together representing your country for a common goal, that's the part that is the thing that gets me going. Like, I'm kind of, well, everybody would say this. I'm strange in a way. I'm the guy that loves practice. I'm the guy that loves tweaking the skills or tweaking the, the way we're training or the different things that we're doing. I love diving into the nuts and bolts of practice. I do. Sometimes I even like that more than the game itself. And I know that's odd, but that's kind of where I come from. And I would say that those are the things that really kind of stand out to me, that I love being in that environment. I love being in that situation where we're, look, we're USA. This is what we do. What I would say that is different than what I thought is the rest of the world is good too.
Yeah.
And the rest of the world is caught up and passed.
Yep.
Okay. Not all, but some. And so sometimes you can rest on your results that you had such and such years ago. But it's not like that anymore. It isn't like that anymore. And so I love that, because that's how sports should be, right? Mm-hmm. Not just one team dominating, but it's evolving. And this person challenges that, this team challenges that team, and that team now gets, oh my gosh, I can no longer do these things. So that's the beauty right there. That's sport. That is what it is. So I would say I did not realize, I knew they were good, but when you see players like Momo and you see, player like John Bolding, Chris Gordon, and Harrison, I mean, those guys are, Brian Weiss, they're good. Like, they're great. And they push people to that next level. So, I love it. I love it because it makes me better. I look at the coaches on the other side too. Man, I want to be better. I got to be better. So that keeps me going. Never being settled, never feeling like I got all the answers. I always want to keep getting better.
Nice. Yeah, that's awesome. So staying in this realm a little bit, any talk of a under 23 team for the U.S. and other countries, and are you in favor of that?
Oh, I'd love to be in. I think that would be great. There is some questions that have come to FIFA about that, and I do hope that it will gain some traction. It's not like they were jumping out of joy to do it right now, but you think about it, when they did the under 18s, all those players that were from all those countries, and I can really speak on behalf of ours, we had Natalie. Not Natalie. I'm sorry. We had Lexi, Riley, Zach. I'm trying to think who else was on that squad.
Wasn't Jordan on that team too?
No.
No.
Tyler from DASA. I think it's there were and I'm missing a few others, but you look at those three that I just mentioned, right? They're all three stars on our national team right now, and there are other countries that have done the same. That their best players are now, or their top players are now on that national team. So it's important, and I know these are some conversations that we've had as coaches on the national team, but also just discussions through U.S. Soccer and other things. Like we need to really dive into a plan of having some kind of funnel that can go right into the senior team, just like the other sports have. So I don't think it's not out of the discussion. I just think that FIFA is trying to work on a couple other things right now. And I just think that would be something that could come down the road for sure. And if not there, why couldn't we just do something here in the States?
Right.
Why couldn't we be West versus the East under whatever age group that we want,
Is there an all-star weekend in our future, Steve?
Yeah.
Never know. Who knows? How you think, Bill?
You heard it here
I
first.
think it's you thinking.
Yeah, that's awesome. I do think just one point on that is going after and under whatever number you decide on. I think it's important for those athletes who are below the senior level and then eventually might translate up to or transfer up to the national squad. But I feel like there was a little bit of a gap because we did hit the COVID years. So I feel like there's a little bit of a generation right there in the middle. They're not young enough, but they're not old enough that could use some of that experience to enhance their skill sets.
Yep.
I mean, would you agree with that at all?
Yeah, I absolutely do. I think, especially in our world with our unique athletes, with the disabilities that we have, like fatigue and within our disabilities are a challenge. It's just part of it. And so I would 100% agree with you in that. So, and I think, when it comes right down to it, if we are going to, look, if you think of some of the athletes that we have right now that are on, like at the last World Cup, think of their ages and think of where they're at. Okay. At some point they're going to retire. They're going to be done. And you want to have that constant funnel that goes right into as you're developing in that next group. So it is definitely something that's needed, and it's something that's important. And it is the kind of conversations that we discuss. So, yes.
Do you feel like you have something in place for that type of scenario to create the funnel?
Not right now. We got ideas, but would that come from USPSA or would that come from US Soccer? Those would be the conversations that really are the start of really trying to make those things happen. Because once we know if that would be a responsibility of one or the other, then the pursuit to making that happen would happen. So,
sure.
But it'd be great. And you got to understand too, we are the largest organization for power soccer in the world. Think of it. Nobody has, 400 to 500 athletes, 65 to 70 teams, plays our national tournament under one roof with, 40 teams. Like, so we have a lot of opportunities to develop a lower group of age demographics and moving that. Some of the other countries that we play, they don't have those same opportunities. And I'm not saying like, England sure does, and I'm sure France does, and some of the others. I'm talking there are some that are challenged just enough to be able to fill a national team, let alone a age demographic team. So there's a lot of moving parts, and there's a lot of things that would have to happen before I think like the International Federation might jump to go, hey, we need to do that. But I can almost assure you that every year that question comes up about, are we ever going to have an under 18 tournament again? So I know there's a want. It really comes down to the federation and how they, the International Federation, how they want to move forward, or if they want to do something like that.
Sure. So moving it back to the on the court play, you got Copa Americas coming up next year. You got the World Cup the following year. I mean, how are you feeling about that leading up to it? What do you want to see out of the team, moving towards next year to get them ready for some of those big competitions?
Well, we'll continue to have our training camps, ID camps. We'll bring in various individuals that we feel like if we need to bring somebody in because we want to look at them and how they work with some of the other athletes, we'll do that. But at some point, we got to qualify, because if we don't qualify, there will be no World Cup, right? So right now, the focus is on the 2025 qualifier in Uruguay. And I think one of the things about that is that we feel really confident where we're at as a unit, and the pool players that we've brought in, and the pool players that we're still looking at, and the pool players that are currently been coming regularly. So I think as we develop our style and the way that we want to play, I think we've learned some things from our last go around, some of the things that as a country that we need to get better at, and we need to be more defined. So I think one of the things that we will do is we will definitely utmost qualify. Then once you qualify, then it's really on for the last year leading up to the World Cup in Argentina in 2026. And look, it was exciting. I know I seen a lot of your guys' comments on social media, and people were having watch parties and different things like that, and we had a lot of great support. It was fun to watch, right? Well, I'll just tell you right now, you ain't seen nothing yet. Every country is getting better, right? Our sport is going through the roof. The elevation of the like what's to come. It's going to be awesome, right? So we'll look forward to Argentina, and really just making sure that we got our group ready and prepared and confident, and and then giving it their all. It's a journey at the World Cup. I can tell you this. You play this last year, or the last World Cup, we played everybody. Remember, it was round robin, and then they took the top 4 teams. So when we complain at a national tournament when you got more than 2 games in a day, figure out what round robins and you're playing countries, and everything is a for sure. And every goal that you score or scored against you is a plus or minus that could add or subtract from where you need to be. Mm-hmm. And it could be the difference in you getting the nod going into the Final Four or not. So you need to have a really good, well-balanced team and be able to have, a group that can, maybe you're not working somebody as hard. Maybe they're playing half the game. Maybe you're subbing them more just to give them, a little breather now and then, so it's those kinds of things, because it'll fatigue your body for sure. We all do. And mostly it's a mental challenge. It is. And what I know about Sydney and what I know about where we're going, Argentina. Okay. Sydney was great. Phenomenal. Facility was excellent. People were great. Very accessible, right? A lot of the same here in the States. We're going to Argentina. There will be some challenges. They are fanatical about this sport. It'll be a circus atmosphere. I can guarantee it. It will. It's going to be wild.
Yeah.
It will be wild.
Yep.
So we got to be prepared for that as well, mentally. So, I'm super excited about it.
So, Steve, what is the future of power soccer in your eyes? Any bold predictions for the next 5 to 10 years?
The bold prediction is it's going to keep elevating. Look, sky's the limit on this. Think about this for a second. The technology has changed the way we play. We know that's even going to get better, right? There are countries right now, I'm sure, and engineering companies that are actually making new chairs as we speak, different than what we probably even see. We know. So I got a feeling that people are going to push the envelopes in those directions. There has been information that has been sent to me, ideas and thoughts. And it makes sense. What if could be a possibility if different positions have different size guards.
Oh.
Goalkeeper has a certain dimension for a goalkeeper. Your striker has a certain chair that has a different length of guard or width of a guard. Those kinds of things. Those are just little things to think about that it could evolve. It could happen. It could get that specific to just the different types of guards, right? A short, stubby guard, you'd have a lot more control, right? It doesn't have to take much to move it. It's not long out in front of you. So it could be a finisher, right? A ball smacked at you and you're just being a wall, right? That kind of stuff. So, those are just things that have been thrown towards me at times. And look, there's endless stuff. So I think as we the game continues, I think it's getting faster. There's one thought about, is it necessary to have 3 officials? Or can you do it kind of like basketball officiating, where you could have 2 and you just rotate depending on what direction it's going? Now, this person's kind of got the high, but he's still out of bounds. And he's looking at everything happening out high while the one on the baseline is looking at everything down low. And they can cover their own lines. So there's ways that this could evolve. And if you think about it, our game has gotten so important and so fast that lots of times center officials can't get out of the way quick enough. Alex, I watched you at Power Soccer Camp after you took the referee course. It's a lot of things going. I think that was one of the first things you said was, man, there's a lot going on.
They're moving. That's right.
Yeah. And so those are just a couple things that I could see that could be interesting to see how that changes. I think our development of our officials, our development of coaching education programs, all those kinds of things are just part of what's coming and what will evolve, and we'll get better because of it.
Awesome.
I've always thought that there should be one athlete on each team that has a slightly faster chill. Just enough, or just changes the game just a little bit.
What Josh is really saying is he would like to be slightly faster than everyone else.
Right. He wants a competitive advantage.
Let's be honest here. Yes.
Okay.
No,
well, you know what? I always thought that we shouldn't allow athletes who are always laying down on the job when they're playing.
Hey, that is discriminatory. Come on.
That is being lazy in my opinion.
That's messed up.
He's been saving that in his back pocket.
Gosh. Alex called me Superman last week. Come on.
That's what I thought. The first time I saw him, I said I thought he looked like Superman because he faces forward.
That was awful nice.
Only to find out that he's just Hollywood.
That's right.
There it is. There it is for America. If you're wondering what to call Josh, the next time he rolls by you with his aviators on.
It was one time. One time. Guys, you guys don't let anything go.
Never forget it. Well, look, Steve, we sure appreciate you taking the time to talk to us today. I know that everybody listening is going to really appreciate your insight, your thoughts, your advice. We appreciate you coming on here and making us just that much more legitimate. So thanks for your time.
Thank you guys so much for having me. You guys are great. Keep up the good work. Keep bringing eyes to the table and helping us get this sport moving. Okay. Appreciate each and every one of you.
Yeah. Appreciate you.
Thank you, Steve. Thank you.
Like anybody knows me.